So I think the first thing to understand is that we want to separate out trading, data, and technology, because there is an obsession in the marketplace with identifying everything around the trading model that gets used. That's not where we're approaching this from. The objective here is how do we bring some of the targeting capabilities which exist today in the digital space and which have actually been accelerated by the growth of programmatic into the TV space. So if we can get the same kind of efficiencies and effectiveness that we've got through digital in the TV space, why not? That's step one. So if you look at what's been happening, you see a lot of local cable, local broadcast stations, especially in the United States, who've embraced a lot of supply-side exchanges or supply-side platforms, which have then aggregated this inventory. What we've been looking at is how do we use this semi-automated infrastructure? How do we add our data stack on top of that to make TV more addressable? And B, how do we automate it even further? So we've invested in two things. The first thing we've invested in is AMP, which is the audience management platform. That is our proprietary data stack. And what it does is it stitches together multiple data sources and helps us create pictures of various households. So I then get to know who people are, what they're buying, what they're watching, what their digital habits are, etc. It also helps us to create addressable segments, which we then want to buy cross-media. The second investment has been in partnership with TubeMogul, where we built an advanced TV platform customized for us, which surfaces this audience stack in Tube. It also allows us to integrate all these multiple sources of inventory. It also allows us to create our own direct pipes to inventory sources rather than relying on some of these supply networks. And in effect, the objective is to try and create the same kind of ecosystem that you have in the digital space, where you have a DSP, then you have the exchange, you have the SSP. So we're trying to create the same infrastructure. Ultimately, here's what we want to do. All we want to do is to be able to take some of the TV budgets that we have, which can then be redeployed, whether from a region perspective, an audience segment perspective, or whether it's retargeting, whatever it is, but to get more effectiveness out for those plans. So we see advanced TV really at the same place where programmatic was, let's say, 4 years ago or 5 years ago for digital. So what is advanced TV? That has three components to it. The first component is household addressable, which is how are you able to understand the households in a particular area and what do you serve as messages to them depending on who they are. That's quite limited, but it is growing, and we anticipate that some of the changes in the acquisition space, especially amongst the cable networks, will change that. The second one is programmatic audience buying, which is where I was talking about all these supply-side platforms which have aggregated inventory. And the third one is where you're seeing this growth of smart TVs, and you're also seeing the growth of OTT. And at some stage, what you're going to see is this blurring of lines between video and OTT. So if I'm watching an episode of The Blacklist, does it really matter whether I'm watching it on my iPad or whether I'm watching it on what is called a TV? And so should a marketer not have the ability to be able to address a person on his iPad when he's watching The Blacklist instead of just TV? And that actually goes to all these reports about how TV ratings are dropping. Well, TV ratings are dropping because people are not watching it just on this big screen in a house. They're watching it on different platforms. And the measurement systems have not kept in place. So have not kept up pace. So effectively, there is a lot of viewing that takes place for some of these programs, but it just doesn't take place at the channels which we measure. But as an advertiser, I want to be able to reach those people. And usually these people turn out to be younger. They're the millennials. They're the hard to reach TV audiences. Our modeling also shows that they're also light TV audiences. So they don't watch that much TV. They always want to watch TV programming on demand. And so they're probably heavier digital consumers. So you can start to see the possibilities there. You can target them on other platforms. You can then target them on digital channels because they're heavier consumers of digital media. The possibilities are endless, and that's why I think that sometimes the fascination with, are we going to get cheaper pricing by moving everybody to a programmatic trading model? I think that should not be the topic of discussion at all. I mean, yes, that's important, but that's just one very small component of it. The bigger component of it is, how do we, in a dynamic age where consumers are moving fluidly in their journeys between platforms, how are you going to keep track of that instead of being siloed into, I've got a TV plan and I've got a video plan and I've got a display plan?
So right now, activating through advanced TV, as you call it, is a sort of an add-on to what would be a more traditional TV plan?
Yes. So
basically, and how, if Nielsen or if analytics are not quite there for multi-screen, how do you prove the value in that new media mix?
So that is where our investment in our own data stack comes handy. So without giving too much away, if you then understand what these households are doing or what these individuals are up to, you're then able to create a measurement metric which is consistent across those that are measured by Nielsen and those that are not. So there are ways of making that leap. It is just that it takes a lot of investment to get there. It's not perfect, but my belief is that a step towards perfection is a lot better than waiting for things to become perfect. So, and I think where you will see the measurement companies move to is eventually they'll crack this problem. They will be able to get to a position where you get consistent measurement across all these platforms. But in the meantime, there are ways by which you can do it, and we've invested in those measurement methodologies that help us do it.